Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to this session from the GMAT Quiz team. Um, do let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear in the chat box. Wishing you all a very warm welcome. We are kickstarting this first edition of Wednesdays with Whizzes. GMAT Whiz will be bringing you small shots, let's say, on specific topics every Wednesday evening at this time. And we are kickstarting that series with today's edition. So let me see. I can see people are still joining. So I'm going to wait a bit and then we'll set the agenda of the session, guys. Um, do let me know with a warm hello from your end so that I also get to understand who all are joining, your names, so that we can kind of interact. And before I move ahead with the session, so once again, just reminding you, those of you who have joined, that this is going to be a series, Wednesdays with Whizzes, where experts from our team, verbal experts, quant experts, will bringing you snippets or lessons on specific topics and areas, both from verbal and quant. So do let me know a hello from your end, guys, and then I can kind of set the agenda for the session today. And also let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. So what we are going to do is as a prequel to every Wednesday session, we're going to release small shorts on that particular topic every Monday. In fact, the short for this session, which was released on Monday, the link is given to you on the screen there. If you want to view those, shorts, which was on basically the past perfect tense, the usage of past perfect tense, it's a very small 5 to 6 minutes video where we just present to you the basics of the past perfect tense, the topic. And then on the Wednesday that succeeds that Monday, we will be presenting 3 or 4 questions to consolidate that topic. So yes, guys, I can see more of you have joined. So those of you who've just joined, welcome to Wednesdays with Whizzes, guys. Today's topic is how and when to use the past perfect tense. One of the most confused topics, I'm sure. Yes, guys, let me hear a hello from your end so that I know who all are with me today evening. Yes, I'm still waiting for more of you to join. Okay, guys, so let me get started with setting the agenda of the day, but I'm still waiting for more of you to join. So today's topic is using the past perfect tense, when and how. At the end of the session, we are also going to give you a take home, let's say, prize for watching this webinar, and you can actually use whatever prize we're going to give you, sort of whatever take home we're going to give you, to practice more on the past perfect tenses. Okay, I can see people still joining, so we'll hold on a bit here. Or let me set the agenda, guys. So my name is Sunita, and I'm going to be the host for you this evening. I'm the verbal head at GMAT Wiz, and I'm also the lead course architect. You can see how I've actually mentored that number of students, and I've scored the 99 percentile in the verbal section. Now, more importantly, what we're going to learn today is when and how to use the past perfect and when not to use the past perfect. Okay, because those are the two times which most of my students keep telling me that those are the two times when they are most confused, when to use it and when not to use it. So I'm going to kickstart with quickly bringing up the first question of the evening, where again we are going to iterate the concepts that lie behind the usage of the past perfect tense. All right. And for those of you who want to know more about the past perfect tense, I have shared a link on the screen, and the link is for you to access the small 5-minute video on past perfect tense, which was released as a precursor to today's session on Monday. Stay with us till the end, where we are going to give you a take home for more practice on past perfect tenses. So here comes the first question, guys. Just bear with me for a moment. So yeah, let me bring up the question for you. Here's the first question of the evening. I'm going to give you a few minutes to solve this, couple of minutes. And my request to you is to hold off putting in your answers till I request you to do so. That gives everybody a fair chance to go through the question properly. All right. So I'm going to mute myself in the meantime. Go ahead, give this question your best shot. So, for those of you who've joined us late, this session is on when and how to use the past perfect tenses. And by using this question, the first question of the evening, we are going to solve some mysteries about the past perfect and its usage. All right, guys. For those of you who finished solving the question, you can start posting your answers. You can start posting your answers, guys. Please do participate. That gives us a lot of uh, interest and the zest to go forward with the session. Would love to see your answers, guys. In case you haven't finished solving it, we will wait. Hi, Mayank Raj. Thank you for posting the answer. We'll wait a bit more for the other answers to show up before we discuss this. So, Mayank Raj believes the correct answer is B. How about the others, guys? Please don't be shy. Don't worry. It's just you and me, and we are here to solve the mystery of past perfect tense. A lot of times, students say that, they have understood the concept, but it is the application of the concept that troubles them. And in today's session, we are going to decode that application. So I'm still waiting for some more of your answers. Yes, so who else is posting his or her answer? Go ahead, guys. Okay, it seems a lot of you are too shy to post the answers. Okay. I'll wait for another 30 seconds. and then I am going to show you how this question could have been solved. Again, for those of you who have not seen the video that we released as a precursor to today's session, which basically gives you a very short lesson on the usage of the past perfect tense, I've put the link on the screen for you to view that particular video. All right, I am going to get into discussing the question. So, guys, any more answers would be really, really welcome. Okay, let's get started. Um, so, all right. Now, at GMAT we solve SE questions in 3 steps. The first step is understanding the intended meaning of the original statement, and then we follow it up with the answer choice elimination. All right, so moving forward, reporting that. So, right at the start, we have an ing verbal, and post that, we have a connector that. So, reporting that. So, somebody is reporting something. What is that person reporting? One of its many problems. So, clearly, we have got to keep a lookout for what this its refers to, but the antecedent could lie later. So, we'll just keep that in mind that one of some things, many problems had been. Now, the moment we notice had been, we have to file it away in the mind that here we have a past perfect tense, and this will be correct only if there is another past event which happened after this particular event. So here we are saying somebody is reporting that one of that person's many problems had been the recent extended sales slump. Let's look at this long term here. So, sales slump, it's talking about a decline in the sales of women's apparel, all right, and it's an extended decline, and it is recent. Okay, so what we have here is somebody is reporting that in the recent time, in the recent past, this particular person had a sales decline, and the decline was noticed in women's apparel. So reporting this incident, the 7-store retailer, okay, now we get it. So this is referring to the 7-store retailer. And this retailer is saying, reporting that one of the many problems that the retailer had faced prior to this said. So this is another event in the past, and this is in the simple past. Okay. So prior to the saying, there had been a prolonged sales slump in women's apparel, and the retailer is saying something post that it would start. So the retailer is saying that it would start a 3-month liquidation sale in all of its stores. All right. So the intended meaning that we are able to derive is the 7-store retailer is reporting something while saying something. All right. And the retailer is reporting a problem that the store had faced earlier. And since we are using had been, probably that particular problem is not there right now. There had been an extended decline. So, this is the problem the retailer is reporting. There had been an extended decline in the sales of women's clothing in the recent past. And the retailer seems to be citing this problem to announce that it will start a liquidation sale in all its stores. Doesn't seem to have any problem here. Okay. In fact, moving ahead, if we look at A, draw the timeline, there are 2 events here. Okay, and both took place in the past. Retailer said something is, let's call this the later event. And before this event, what had happened was there had been a sales slump. So clearly, there is no problem evident in this choice. In fact, A is the correct answer. Don't worry, we will look at why the other choices are incorrect, although they seemed correct. All right. So please remember that we use the past perfect, okay, when we have to show that it happened, the event happened before another past event. So we use the simple past with the event that took place later, and we use the past perfect with the event which took place before that later past event. So this is the earlier event, and this is the later event. So whenever we have to set a sequence between two past events, then we use the simple past for the later event and we use the past perfect for the earlier event. So everything seems fine here. It refers correctly to the retailer, which is also singular. So let us see why the other choices are incorrect. Its many problems has been. Now, there are two changes between the original statement and this choice. One, instead of had been, we have the present perfect. We have the present perfect has been. The other change, if you notice, is recently. Now, look at here, we had the word recent. So, recent extended. So, recent extended sales slump. Basically, we're saying the sales decline was recent. However, when you say recently extended, it starts meaning something very different. Recently extended means this sales slump was recently prolonged. So, recent sales slumps and recently prolonged sales slumps, they are two very different meanings. Okay, doesn't make sense to say the recently the sales slump was recently prolonged. All right, why would it be recently prolonged? It took place in the recent past and it was a long sales slump. So clearly that is one difference. The other difference, let's understand with the help of the timeline. Now, we have a past event here and we have a present perfect event here. All right. Retailer said something is the past event, and that is the non underlined portion. And if we place the sales slump and say the sales slump has been, it indicates that the sales slump, the decline started in the past and is still present. However, clearly here this makes no sense. The retailer is saying that there had been the sales slump and now it wants to take an action to sort of overcome that slump probably. All right, per the intended meaning, the sales slump happened in the past and it did not continue in the present. So this is against the intended meaning. Also, it makes no sense logically to say the sales slump has been there. All right, so B is out. And I hope those of you who marked B have understood why it is incorrect. So, yes, Raj, very valid point. All right, that it should not be used for people. However, if you notice, in none of the choices we have any variation or any other option than to use the its. We have there, however, we don't have a reference point for there. All right. So here the retailer has been kind of taken as a common gender, or rather, let's call it a neuter gender. And therefore, the word it has been used. So, Shobit, here the would is a past tense of will. Okay. So, would here is not showing a hypothetical situation, Shobit. Okay. Here the would is what the retailer said it would do. See, if the retailer is saying something in the present, suppose we talk about the direct voice, okay, direct and indirect speech rather. So, when the retailer is saying something, we will write in inverted commas, the retailer said, I will do so and so. Okay. And when the whole thing is put in reported speech, it becomes the retailer said that it would do something. All right, Chobit. So the would is not indicative of a hypothetical situation here. The would is indicative of using the future form of will in the past. All right. So I hope, Shobhit, that is clear to you. Let's move ahead to its many problems is the recently. So one error is again the recently, which I have just explained. The other error is now we are talking about two events, one which happened in the past. So in the past, the retailer said something, but the problem of the sales slump is only at present. So there is no connect between the past and the present. And of course, this is not what the intended meaning was either. So C is also out. In fact, D and E can be ruled out because of the usage of there. Where do we have the antecedent there? Retailer is singular, all right. And as earlier asked by one of you, that can we cannot really use it. But here, there is no other option. If you see the non-underlined portion also uses it, and therefore we can safely take this it's as correct, although it's a slight deviation. All right. So the retailer is taken as a neuter gender here. So there, of course, has no antecedent. And we have already explained how the is does not work. There is no relation between said and is here. So this is also incorrect. Again, in E, the there is incorrect because we don't have any antecedent for there, although the rest of it is fine. So in this case, we can rule out the choice because of the there. That brings us to the end of this problem. And let's look at the takeaway. When should we use the past perfect? Okay, remember that was the agenda. So the past perfect should be used when the following conditions exist. And you can actually ask yourself whether these conditions exist in the sentence or not. Whenever there are two events in the past which have not taken place at the same time. Because if they have taken place in the same time, then you would use the same simple past tense for both. Okay, so when you have two events and those two events have not taken place at the same time in the past, all right, that is one of the conditions. The other is there is a need. I'm going to emphasize on the word need because that sets up the agenda for our next question. There is a need to set the sequence in which the two events happened in the past. That means from the context, we are not able to understand which event happened first, and therefore we need to set the sequence and then we use the past perfect. The earlier event should be indicated by the past perfect tense, and the later event should be in the simple past. So, this is the takeaway from this particular question, and I hope you guys are noting this down. All right, wonderful. So, let me bring up the next question quickly without more delay. Here's the next question, guys. Give it your best shot. I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then you can start posting your answers. I'll ask you to post your answers. Go ahead, guys. Sure, Raj. I have given 2 minutes for you guys to solve the question. And my request to everybody is do not start posting your answers till I request you to do so. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers if you're done with the question. Okay, so Aris thinks the correct answer is C. How about the others? I'll wait a couple of seconds more for more answers to come up, and then I'm going to get on with the discussion of the question. Again, questions like these tell us what GMAT really wants us to think. This question proves a very interesting point, and I'm going to make that point when we discuss this. Shobit believes it's C, Abhirup believes it's B, Arya believes it's D. Okay, so we've got B, C, D in the running. Great. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for posting your answers. And Raj believes also. So Raj and Shobhit and Aris are on one side. They believe the correct answer is C. And then we've got B and D. All right, guys. So here I start my explanation. Bear with me. All right. So critics say something. All right. What do the critics say? And notice that critics say is in the simple present. All right. They say that. So this that is going to tell us what the critics say. It's a connector here. The government had fallen in the recent election. So again, when you see the past perfect, immediately you file away, you note in your mind that, okay, I should have another simple past event to justify this had fallen. All right. So the government had fallen in the recent election. All right. So this election took place in the recent past, and the government had fallen in that past because, all right, so now I'm also being given the reason for this. Now clearly, if the reason is being given, it means the reason would take place first, right? I mean, for something to be the cause of something, it has to de facto take place first. All right, what is it? It had. Okay, so the government had fallen because it here would safely refer to the government had announced higher taxes. So had announced here is again past perfect. So this happened in the past perfect, and the cause also happened in the past perfect. That is incorrect. All right. Clearly, we can understand both the events took place in the past, but then the cause would have definitely taken place before the effect. So both cannot be in the past perfect. Most likely, this should not be in the past perfect because this took place later, right? So this is the later event, and this should therefore come in the simple past. This, let's see. So the government, instead of had fallen, probably fell in the recent election because the government had announced higher taxes, okay, and allowed. So announced higher taxes and allowed. This allowed could be in the simple past, but then this had could be common for announced and allowed. Let's read further. Allowed the prices of essential commodities to soar unchecked last year. Aha, last year is a specific, a particular time marker. It tells us the exact time of an event. Okay, that means the announced and allowed, since they are joined with the and here, took place last year. So if we already know the sequence, then should we use this had here? Should we use this had here? Let's see. So the intended meaning is critics are saying something now. They are stating the reason behind the government's fall in the recent election. For the critics, the government fell because it did something last year. Because last year is stated, then the did makes sense. Okay, we don't need to have had done. All right. Remember what we discussed as a takeaway in the for the previous question. If there is no need to specify the sequence, then should we use the past perfect? Because the condition very specifically I mentioned earlier was there should be a need to use the past perfect. Here, the need does not seem there because of two reasons. One, we're already told the because. So the cause has to anyways per force take place first. Second is the exact time of announced and allowed is also given. We do not use the past perfect when the exact time is given. So last year, the government announced and allowed the prices. Okay, this is the meaning. And therefore, choice A is incorrect. Again, if we have to show it on the timeline, this is how the timeline would look. Notice, so the critics are saying something, sorry, my bad. Critics are saying something at present, and then we have both the events in the past perfect. But where is my past event? Where is my simple past event? I don't have that. All right. Therefore, this choice is incorrect. All right. Let me see if we have any queries so far. So, Aris, that is exactly what we are going to discuss. It is whether it is wrong to use had or is it right to use had. This is an official question, and today we are going to look at what GMAT wants us to do. What GMAT wants, what is the way GMAT wants us to think. All right. So let me quickly move on to the next choice. Fell out of favor. All right. So instead of simply fell, we have the word out of favor. But does it change the meaning? If the government falls in the election, then it is actually falling out of favor only. So by adding out of favor, I'm not distorting the meaning. All right. So I have my simple past here, fell out of favor in the recent election because it announced and allowed last year. So in this case, if I look at my timeline, all right, look at this. Critics are saying something at present and they're talking about the recent past. What happened in the recent past? The government fell out of favor, all right? And before that fell out of favor last year, so last year also belongs to that simple past, the government allowed and announced something, all right? And therefore, I'm going to keep B on hold. In fact, B is correct actually, guys. B is the correct answer. C is incorrect simply because of that had. I'm going to show you. Now, let's look at C. Let's understand the timeline here. Okay, guys? I am saying had announced and allowed when I'm already stating it happened last year. So with the time stamp, we do not use the past perfect. If the exact time of the past event is given, you use the simple past, all right? And because C is incorrect, we understand that GMAT also wants us to think like this, all right? When there is no need for using the past perfect, using the past perfect is actually wrong. All right. It's not just okay, but it's actually wrong, which is why C is incorrect, guys. All right. And B is correct. D, of course, the had fallen is incorrect right away. So the had fallen is incorrect. All right. Although this and this are correct. All right. And then in E, once again, the had fallen is incorrect. And again, you have the had announced and had allowed, which is also redundant. So this is out. Nobody marked E, but so the takeaway here, guys, very simply is the past perfect should not be used when the following conditions exist. There aren't two events in the past. You don't have two events in the past, okay? Please, at that point of time, we don't use the past perfect. There are two events in the past, but they happened at the same time. Then also, we do not use the past perfect. This is important. We do not use the past perfect when there is no need to set the sequence in which the two events happened in the past. In this case, there was no need to set the sequence. We were already told that the one of the past events took place last year, and the because indicated that the next event took place after that. All right, so there was no need to set the sequence, which basically means the context clarifies the sequence. If the context is telling you which event occurred first and which event occurred next, do not use the past perfect. Finally, when there is a specific simple past time stamp stating the time of the past event, do not use past perfect with it. All right. So, one more question to go where we're going to talk about a specific case of the past perfect. Raj, that is something, honestly speaking, I would say, even if the last year was not there, you would not need the had. The because tells you very clearly that whatever be the time frame, the cause took place before the effect. So even if the last year was not there, things would still have been fine without the had. All right. So, yes, Raja, I also thought the same thing. So, I hope that satisfies your query. Let me bring up the last question quickly, guys. Here's the question. Again, we have a very, very interesting thing to learn about the usage of past perfect through this question. So far, we've seen when we should use the past perfect, when we should not use the past perfect. This particular is a specific instance when we should use the past perfect. Go ahead, guys. Once again, I would request you to um, just hold on to your answers. You're welcome, Raj. Hold on to your answers, guys. I'll tell you when to post your answers. So get started. And when we are through with this question, I am going to give you a special gift as a take home. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers. I'm sure this question has challenged all of you. So let's look at your answers and then I'll get started with this. So just to remind all of you guys, every Wednesday we are going to bring this Wednesdays with Whizzes with you. We will be delving into one topic at a time. And for this, we will be releasing shorts every Monday. All right, guys, let's quickly look at your answers. Thank you. So Raj believes the correct answer is E. Vikas believes it's D. Arya believes it's E. What about Aris, Shobhit, Abhiroop, Arya? Okay, Arya's answer I've got. All right, guys. So I'm sure you guys are going to post your answers soon. And in the meantime, let me get started because, again, as usual, time is a luxury. Okay, so let's see. Again, following the intended meaning approach is very, very important, without which it's very difficult to understand the logic behind the construction. Here it goes. The first detailed study, so there's a study of magpie attacks in Australia. So the subject here is the study, and then the verb is indicates, which is in simple present tense. So what it tells us is whatever study was done, it was done on magpie attacks, and the findings of the study is going to be shared with us. Okay, let's get ahead. What does it indicate? That by the time, now what does by the time really mean, guys? By the time literally means before something. Okay, So if I say, by the time I reached there, my friend was gone. So it means before I reached there, my friend had gone. So remember, by that time tells us before something happened. All right. So before they had reached, now this had reached again tells you that we've got a past perfect event here, and this would be justified only if you had a simple past event. All right. So let's understand this. Let's take us a moment. Let's take some time to understand this. We are saying before something had occurred. Now, if you're saying before something, then it means that thing had happened before some other event. Let's carry on. Before, by the time they had reached adulthood. Now, who is this they referring to? It can't refer to magpie because this, for one, this is an adjective for attacks. All right, and also these are birds, so it's a singular. Sorry. So by the time they had reached adulthood, we are going to talk about somebody, some people who reached adulthood probably. 98% of men and 75% of women born in the country probably refers to Australia here. So we're talking about this many percent of men and this many percent of women. Born in the country here is just a modifier for these men and women. All right, it's not a verb here. So by the time these men and women had reached adulthood, okay, before they had reached adulthood, were attacked by the birds. The birds probably refers to the magpie. Okay, and this is in the simple past. Hold on. So before they had reached adulthood, they were attacked. Now, which one happened first here? Clearly, there are two events here. Okay, event one and event two. So before they reached adulthood, something happened, which means the attack happened and then they reached adulthood, right? It's very clear that before they reached adulthood, the attack must have happened. So this attack should be in the past perfect, right? And this reached should be in the simple past. We have got it the other way around here. So this is incorrect and this is incorrect here. All right. Cool. So we're talking about the first detailed study about magpie attacks in Australia. This study indicates something about the men and women born in the country, that is in Australia. Further study, even before these, now this is important, even before these men and women reached adulthood, something had already happened to a large majority of them. What had already happened? They had been attacked by the birds. Okay, so you can see clearly how, if you are going simply by the meaning, also, you get to understand which event happened first and which event happened next. All right, so A is incorrect. All right, again, if you look at the timeline, all right, at present, the study indicates something. Men and women were attacked in the past, but they reached adulthood before that. That's wrong, right? It's the other way around. They reached adulthood afterwards and they were attacked prior to that. So A is incorrect. B, by the now, if we draw what B is saying on the timeline, let's look at that. By the time they reach adulthood, when you are saying reach, it means simple present, okay? And simple present tense is used to indicate some universal facts or habits or rules and regulations. So are we talking about something that keeps happening universally, that every time 98% of men and 75% of women who were born in Australia, every time they reach adulthood, before that they are always attacked by the birds? That seems nonsensical, right? It's a study done on the attacks. That means study done and over with. All right, so clearly reach adulthood is very, very out of sync here, although the had been attacked has been placed in the right place. And of course, to justify had been attacked, where is your simple past? Nowhere. So B is out. Let's look at C. By the time they reached adulthood, okay, so here we have it, reached adulthood happened later. Okay, so by the time means before they reached adulthood. So if I plot my points, study indicates that before they reached adulthood, men and women had been attacked. All right, clearly here everything is in place. had been attacked, tick. Reached adulthood, tick. So this is event 1, we are using past perfect with it, and event 2, we are using the simple past. So C is the correct answer. Great. Now a lot of you marked D and E, guys. Let's see why D and E are incorrect. D, if you look at your timeline once again, let's quickly look at it. We are saying 98% of men and 75% of women that were born. First of all, this that is incorrect. We do not use that for human beings. Were born in the country, were attacked. So were attacked is in the simple past by the birds by the time they reach adulthood. Again, we are using a simple present indicator to indicate something that happened in the past, totally out of sync here, and D is therefore wrong. Okay. If we are talking about a universal truth, then why would we use any past tense? Then we would say by the time these men and women reach adulthood, they are attacked, like if it's a universal truth. All right, so D is out. Quite a few of you chose E, guys. E, the construction is wrong. Everything else is fine. If you really look at the tenses are in place. Okay, we are saying by the time they reached adulthood, so reached is simple past, had been attacked by the birds. But the problem is 98% of the men and women, okay, so this is my subject, all right, this is a modifier who were born in the country, and let's leave this out for the moment. So 98% of the men and women, comma, by the time they reached adulthood had been attacked. Do you notice they reached adulthood and had been attacked? It's written out like this: they reached adulthood, okay, and then without any comma, without any connector, you are saying had been attacked. So it seems as if this they is the subject for both these verbs here. Then what is this doing here? It seems to be hanging there all by its all on its own. Okay. So you just have a noun followed by a modifier, and then you have a clause, and there is no connect between the two, it seems. So the construction of E is incorrect, guys. All right. We don't write sentences by one subject verb and then suddenly you have another verb with no connector whatsoever, no comma, nothing. All right, so E is out. But the takeaway here is whenever you use by X, the X denotes a past event. All right, I'll give you some examples here. Always use the past perfect for the verb that comes after by X. By X, comma, Y had happened. Let's take an example. The by 1800. So by 1800 is your simple past event. Okay, like for example, just now we said by the time they reached. So by 1800, if you're right using this kind of a timestamp, which means before 1800. So what happened before 1800? Had exhausted. Similarly, if you are given by the time X happened, then Y happened. This is the question that we did just now. By the time means before, and then you use the simple past. So 1800 is equivalent to served here, and then had gone is your past perfect. All right. That brings us to the end of today's session, guys. Let me quickly take a look if you have any queries. All right, guys. So I promised you earlier that I would be giving you a takeaway, a take home thing, sort of. So let me present to you that take home. I'm going to give you the link using which you can access this part of our course, guys. All right. Uh, Definitely you can delve deeper into the verb tenses and practice more of what we have discussed today. And of course, you can also access an introduction to our intended meaning approach, guys. Let me put up the link for you through which you can access this, guys. Give me a moment. I'll just answer your queries. Let me just quickly put the link out there. You can use that link to access a particular portion of our course and particularly the verb tenses. So Raj, the before is a very vague time frame. Okay, if I say before let's say they reached adulthood. Now, if somebody is reaching adulthood at let's say 18 years, so 17, 16, 15, 14, 13 could be any time. All right. So before is not exactly a specific timestamp, all right? And therefore, we use the had before it. If you otherwise, if you say before they reached adulthood, they did something, it seems as if the two things happened at the same time. All right. So this is the conventional usage for that by time marker. All right. I'm sure a lot of you are posed at different stages of preparation right now, Raj, Arya, Vikas, Shobhit, and all. And in case you have any more queries about your preparation, what you can also do is you can talk to our experts. You have to book your call prior to speaking to them, but you can talk to them and discuss your specific queries, which this platform doesn't give us time for. So I'm just going to put out that particular link also in a moment. Let me also tell you this access that we are giving you as a take home will be valid only till this Saturday end of day. So if you are from the PST time frame, it will be your end of day, that is end of Saturday. And if you're from IST, it will be your end of Saturday. All right. So the next 3 days, you can access this portion of the course as a take home. You can use that link. And in case you have specific queries which this platform does not allow us, does not give us the time to discuss, you can use the link that I'm going to give to talk to our experts. Yes, Aris, the whole point of using the past perfect is only it only makes sense when they are related. Otherwise, the sentence would just be a run-on sentence, right? If they are not related, it's a run-on sentence. So all of this makes sense when you're talking about two events which happened in the past. And remember what I said about you need to set a sequence. Why would you need to set a sequence if the two events are not even related? All right. So absolutely, you're right there also. Okay, let me share the link to set up, which you can use to set up call with our experts if you have any specific queries related to your preparation. It's there on the screen right now, guys, the link that you can use to set up a call with our experts. With that, let we come to the end of this session, guys. See you again next Wednesday. Uh, again with Wednesdays with Whizzes, guys. And do wait for the shorts that we are going to release on Monday. Take care and happy learning till then, guys.